Hello, and welcome back to Juno's Musings. I'm Juno, intimacy provider and educator, here to share some of my musings with you about my time working in the industry. My hope is to support those who are new to doing this work and those who are curious about joining. Today, I would like to talk about how my time as an intimacy provider has informed and shaped my perspectives and practices around intimacy. Surprise, surprise, being an intimacy provider has allowed me to explore the topic of intimacy, how I practice it, how even I think about it, and that's something that I hope you find useful in your journey as well. So of course, as a intimacy provider, it is my job currently to provide intimate experiences to a diverse range of folks, and the thoughts, skills that I learned while doing this job and I continue to learn while doing this job do trickle into my personal life, in my intimate experiences with people that I meet outside of work. And I think a lot of the things that I've learned have really enhanced my ability to do this job, as well as my ability to be intimate with people in all different sorts of contexts. So, what has being an intimacy provider taught me about intimacy? Number one, and I would say probably the most useful, is communication and boundary setting. So even before I meet a new client, I am communicating about my boundaries, what I allow and what I don't allow, as well as trying to explore my clients' boundaries, what they are looking for and what they are not looking for. So I have on my social media and my ads linked to my website, which gives a very brief breakdown of the different packages I provide. For example, my main two are the girlfriend experience and the naughty girl experience. This latter one is often referred to as PSE, or porn star experience. I personally don't feel like a porn star, no matter what kind of role I'm playing. So I call mine the naughty girl, but PSE is the more common industry term for this type of experience. Then if somebody is interested in learning more about my services and potentially booking me, they ideally fill out my booking form, my contact form on my website. Most people text me or email me, and then I send my menu, which is the industry term for your services and rates. I personally love Canva. I'm not sponsored by Canva, but I love Canva, and I have a little menu image that I've created that breaks down my two main experiences, what services each of those entail, and then at the end some extras that you can upgrade to. And I also list my restrictions. So my restrictions are my boundaries of things that I do not feel comfortable providing, and I have that explicitly put in this first initial presentation of what I do and do not do, so that people are aware of, if that's something that you want, that's totally fair. It is not something I provide, so we are not a good match to work together. So right from the get-go, my clients are aware of what I provide, how much the different services cost, and what I do not provide. And then I typically, when I send my services picture, I ask, is there anything in particular that you are looking for? So I can gauge what kind of services this client wants and whether or not we are a good fit for one another. So with this initial communication, some of the boundaries are already set. Once I'm with a client in a booking, typically they will arrive, chat a little bit, they go shower, come to join me in the bed, and then I usually say something along the lines of, is there anything you particularly like, anything you don't like? This is me opening the communication for them to share what their boundaries are, what their expectations are, so that I can meet those needs in this booking, but also if they have any restrictions, anything that they don't want me to do, so that I know I am creating a safe and comfortable, respectful space. After they have answered this question in as much or as little detail as they feel necessary or comfortable, then I use this time to remind them of my boundaries, even though they've already seen my services picture and they know what I don't like. I will just give a little reminder of the couple things that I don't want to do, so that we're really upfront about communicating our boundaries. Consent is key in intimate experiences, and I am not a mind reader, nor do I think any of my clients are. So explicitly stating what we are looking for and what we are not looking for is very valuable to both of our well-being and satisfaction in the experience. And honestly, this practicing of consent has really trickled into my personal life. When I'm connecting with someone intimately in my personal world, I'm not sending them a list of my services on Hinge or wherever I'm meeting someone at a bar, etc. I'm not saying, just so you know, I do this, and I don't do this. But I am, because of my work, a lot more comfortable communicating what I like and what I don't like. It's become more natural for me to have these conversations, whether it's before the intimate experience or right before the intimate experience, laying in bed. It, I think, is so valuable to not in the moment say, well, I don't like that. I mean, if that comes up, for sure, do that. Don't go along with something you're not comfortable with. But being able to communicate these standards and these desires and these boundaries before they take place just makes the experience a lot smoother and a lot more pleasurable for everyone involved. Because I won't say no one. I think most people, hopefully the people that you're hooking up with, they don't want to do things that make you uncomfortable. And so by knowing these in advance, it just makes for a much more smooth, pleasurable experience for everybody. I also think that my time working as an intimacy provider has really helped me develop nonverbal communication skills and listening skills. So I think that from doing this work and being intimate with a diverse range of people in a diverse range of settings and experiences, I am better able to read body language and also express my own desires and discomforts through body language. I don't know how explicit I'm able to be on YouTube, but for example, I don't like anybody that is not protected to touch anywhere near my body, because that increases my risks of contracting things I don't want to contract. And so some people maybe don't realize that and try to put their body there, and I can just kind of shift my hips quite naturally now, and most people get the clue that that is not something I want. Trying to be YouTube appropriate. Come talk to me outside of YouTube and I will give you more explicit details of what I'm trying to say here. Also, things like just moving someone's hand from where you don't want their hand to be can be a really simple indicator, and sometimes it can be challenging to say, oh, I don't want you to touch me like that. But by just taking their body part that you don't feel comfortable where it is and shifting it to somewhere that you do feel comfortable where it is can be a really good nonverbal communication skill. Things like moaning and heavy breathing, those can tell people that this is something I'm enjoying and I want more of. And then on the flip side, listening to people's moaning and, oh, they're getting louder, so they're like this. Oh, now all of a sudden they're not getting louder, so maybe they don't enjoy this as much, and I will switch it up and try to get that moaning back. And I do want to note that boundary setting is both for physical as well as emotional boundaries. So for instance, I have physical boundaries that I find just make me feel physically uncomfortable. It doesn't physically feel good for my body, and therefore I don't want to experience it. There's also emotional boundary setting, which I think could play into how you speak to someone, or this could probably go in different directions as well. But in this context, I'm referring to things that maybe it doesn't physically feel bad, but it emotionally doesn't make you feel good. So that could be certain acts or positions or role play experiences that for you do not feel pleasurable. And if we're speaking about personal life intimacy, that's, yeah, like your pleasure is a different kind of context than when you're being an intimacy provider. When I have clients who get off on my pleasure, amazing. Those are my favorite clients, let me tell you. But I'm not doing this for my own pleasure. I'm doing this for my income. This is my job. And so it doesn't necessarily need to be pleasurable in the way that I'm want to do it for free, but it does need to make me feel safe and respected. If there are things like role play scenarios that make me feel not comfortable and not respected or in a good space, then I don't want to do those. Because yes, I need money. We all do. We live in a capitalist society. Money is paramount to being able to survive right now. But for me, not at the cost of my own well-being. And so kind of going off of that with boundary setting is boundary reinforcing. So I do unfortunately sometimes have clients who I explicitly lay out what my boundaries are. I like this is fine, but I do not like this. I do not allow this. And still they try to push my limits, and they try to get into the realm of something I've explicitly said I do not want to do. And so boundary reinforcing is something that I have learned to do because of my work as an intimacy provider. And whether that's gently reminding somebody, oh, I don't like that, or more explicitly, forcefully moving their body, their hand, or whatever it may be, away from what they're doing. And I am grateful to say I've never had to kick somebody out of an appointment because they've been so misguided in following my boundaries. But I have had people that I have messaged afterwards and said, I don't feel comfortable to see you again because I didn't feel respected, and my safety is important to me. I think this has also played out into my personal life, that if I am hooking up with someone in my personal life for free, if I'm doing it for free, I'm doing it for pleasure. If I am not feeling respected, or I'm not gaining personally from the experience, I think charity is a very valuable thing. I donate to causes I believe in, but I'm not giving no boys charity with my body. So yes, communication and boundary setting and reinforcement is something that I've learned from doing this job, and I think it is really valuable for everybody to be able to accomplish, whether you're working within intimacy services or you are exploring intimacy in your own life. It's something that I think it really reinforces our self-respect if we are able to assert ourselves and make sure that we are getting an experience, whether it's for money or not, an experience we feel comfortable with and we feel respected in. And then flip side of that, we want to make sure we are forwarding that to other people as well. We don't want to be crossing anybody else's boundaries. We want to be communicating so that we understand their boundaries, whether they're a client or a personal person. Don't commit harm. Make sure you're communicating your own boundaries, learning the other person's, and having a pleasurable time for all. So the Second thing that I think being an intimacy provider has really taught me about the experience of intimacy is empathy. To me, empathy is experiencing myself in connection to the other person's experience. It's about being able to read people, both their verbal and nonverbal language, and being able to respond to it in a way that they feel understood. This, of course, can relate to the physical component of intimacy. So when I am with a client or with a partner in my personal life, I am feeling what feels good for them, and I want to continue to facilitate that feeling good. And I hope that they also have empathy and want to facilitate my feeling good. And I think that's what makes a very beautiful physical intimate experience, is this reciprocal give and take of I am listening to your words and your body, and I am responding to that, and vice versa. Within the realm of intimacy, I think this goes beyond just the physical. So in being an intimacy provider, a really huge component of my work is emotional labor. So a lot of people are coming to me, not just for a quick bang and run, YouTube appropriate words, but a lot of people, it's about connecting and feeling an emotional sense of intimacy past just the physical experience. So things like active listening and making meaningful eye contact and physical touch that's not necessarily sexual, but very connecting and being very present, and displaying this empathy of I am here with you, I am hearing you, I am understanding you, and I am giving back my own emotions to respond to what you are feeling in this moment, what you are sharing with me. Honestly, I think this is why I do the work that I do. I love sex. Don't get me wrong, I'm a very sexual person, but I really like the emotional, more people connecting part of this intimate work, and feeling like there's a big disconnect in, I believe, in our culture right now, that a lot of people feel lonely and feel isolated, and being able to have this physical closeness, physical touch, and emotional closeness, and being heard and seen and validated, that to me is why, that's what a lot of my clients are seeking. And I think that's why a lot of my clients come back to me, is because I am very present and in the moment with them, and conveying this empathy that I have learned to do during my time as an intimacy provider for almost getting to 9 years of doing this work, that I've had a lot of time to practice this. And I think this is something that a lot of intimacy providers are either the ones who are successful and enjoy and stick with the work, are naturally empathetic, caring, giving people, and or those who stick with the work develop these skills, because a lot of our clients are very vulnerable with us. I mean, when you're physically exposed and all up in each other's bodies, pillow talk after lying there naked, it's a lot easier to get emotionally vulnerable than in a lot of other contexts we encounter in our lives. So emotional empathy, I think, is a really big part of intimacy, including the physical component of intimacy, that I think a lot of intimacy providers are very naturally skilled at, or develop these skills from doing the work. The third thing that being a intimacy provider has taught me about intimacy is the diversity and individuality of intimacy and like desire. No two people are the same. Of course, that can mean the kind of physical acts you like, the kind of kinks you're into, the kind of desires, fantasies, all those things. We're all unique beings. We all come from different life experiences that bring in what kind of things we find attractive or not attractive, what we want, what we don't want. But not only the physical things that we're attracted to, but the larger picture of intimacy. Why are we drawn to intimacy? What are we trying to get out of an intimate experience? So, for instance, I have clients who are really looking for a physical stress relief. They come in, they want to bang, 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 get out the physical stress of pent-up energy in their bodies, and that's totally valid. I have it's funny, as I get older, I seem to get an increasing number of clients who it is their first time having an intimate experience. Not gonna lie, I love my virgins. And this is obviously a very different seeking of intimacy than the clients who have had a lot of sex and they want a physical stress relief. These first timers are looking for a more emotionally intimate experience generally. They want someone who they can feel comfortable and safe with, because a lot of the times they're in their mid to late 20s, or older, so there's been a lot of buildup about what this intimate experience is going to be like, and that creates a lot of nerves and anticipation and fears, and so they want a safe space to be able to explore this part of themselves for the first time, which is really vulnerable. I also have a lot of clients who never experience physical touch. I think especially for men in our culture, it's a lot harder to get physical touch, which for many people is so important to their sense of well-being. Women tend to be more touchy with their friends, hugging, or I like physical touch as more of an intimate thing, so I don't cuddle with my friends, but a lot of my friends, I'll be awkwardly on one end of the couch and they'll be cuddling on the other end of the couch. I don't think men do that as often as women do. And so a lot of men, I've heard from clients who they say they haven't touched someone other than a handshake in 10 years. And that's hard for our sense of well-being and our sense of connection to ourselves and other people. And so those clients are coming not so much for a quick bang and run, but more for the before and after cuddles. The sex is kind of it's still a part of it, but the physical connecting and the emotional connection is definitely more of a priority than There is more to intimacy than just physical and sexual desires. I think the emotional component to intimacy is so huge for so many people, and doing this work has really showed me that intimacy has so many different facets to it, so many different pulls of why people want it, what people expect out of it, what people get out of it. And so learning that desire is so diverse and unique to the individual is something that I found very valuable in both working with clients and also in my personal life and experiencing different people and being open to what intimacy means to others as well as to myself. Which kind of leads into number 4, personal intimate care. This is the last point I'm going to bring up of what I have learned being an intimacy provider about intimacy. This work has really made me aware of the need to take care of both my physical and my emotional well-being in regards to my experiences of intimacy. Of course, physical is part of it, and because I am being intimate with more people than the average person in our population, there are physical health needs that I am possibly more aware of than the average person. I get sexual health testing every month, and I don't think if I was not doing this work, I would go so often. Though, let me tell you, I love my sexual health clinic. And shout out to Safer Six Toronto. They're amazing. And other components of taking care of my body that I think are more necessary being an intimacy provider. Even the emotional components, maybe it's more necessary being an intimacy provider and having so much intimacy, particularly intimacy that as a provider, you are giving so much to other people. And while, yes, I have a lot of clients who do really give back to me and they do feed my soul in a beautiful way that I'm very grateful for, the ultimate truth is that I'm the provider. I'm a service provider. I'm providing my intimate self to other people. And so to be able to maintain doing that work in a healthy and satisfying way, I do need to take time. I mean, I'm an outgoing introvert myself, and so when I have a busy work week, sometimes I need to take a couple days to just be with Juno and just really reconnect with myself. And I think being an intimacy provider has really taught me that. But I think that that is very valuable for all types of people. And I know that that trickles into my personal life, that you can't take care of someone else if you're not taking care of yourself. And being able to meet your own needs, to be able to really deeply engage in intimate experiences with other people is so, not even valuable, but vital. We need to take care of ourselves. And if you want to be able to provide an authentic, genuine experience to people, you need to be able to be authentically, genuinely engaged with you. So those are my thoughts on what being an intimacy provider has taught me about intimacy. I am sure there are many other things that providers have learned about intimacy. And if you are an experienced provider watching this, I would love to hear your comments down below about what you've learned in your time doing this work. And if you are new to the industry or still curious about jumping into this work, if there's any questions or concerns that you have about how being a provider could impact your perceptions and experiences of intimacy with your clients, with yourself, with people in your personal life, I would love to hear from you. As always, feedback is greatly appreciated. That's why I keep doing what I do, because I've heard from some of you that you like this video, these videos, and that's genuinely what keeps me making more. So please send me a comment, a message, an email, a text, social media message, however you want to get in touch. I would love to hear from you. And until the next video, take care.